What is up, guys? Beancrew49 here. Welcome back to Being Around the World, the series where I tour Xbox One maps that you might not be familiar with. Today we're joining Reaper EBK for his city of Chicago. That's right, guys. You guys are in for a treat. This is a major metropolitan city that he's been working on for about 1 year. 99% of it has been done all by himself, and look at the size of this map. We're in for a big treat. He's got a lot of buildings, a lot of skyscrapers, so it's best not to linger. Well, let's get right into it. Let's start talking about this wonderful city. It's based off the city of Chicago. He's used a lot of real-life buildings as inspiration for his city, and he's also infused some of his own ideas for buildings. So it's not an exact replication of Chicago, but it's a pretty faithful homage, so to speak. You know what I mean? Got a lot of skyscrapers. First thing I should say, no interiors. This is all exterior work. He does plan on doing a lot of these interiors, but he needs a lot of help for that. And I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. Alright, so this is the third project he's ever worked on. He started in survival mode, and one of his friends introduced duping to him. This was before creative mode came out, so that's his first city. He did a creative survival world, basically. In his second city, he went for another city, and now he's working on Chicago because he's from Chicago. He used to live in the city. He now lives in the nearby city of Joliet. Joliet? Am I saying that right? I don't know. I've never been to the Midwest. Well, not to Chicago anyway. So I'm not really... Yes, Juliet's, okay? So as you saw on the map there, and the map's in my hand, he's got a big city. And what his plans for this is to fill out the entire Xbox One large size map. It's a tall order, yes. But, you can't fault a man for having lofty goals. If you aim for the stars, you'll hit the moon, basically, okay? So, so what he wants to do is finish the city of Chicago, build a bunch of suburbs, and then start a nearby city of Juliet. That's right, he wants to build 2 cities with suburbs connecting them. I think that is a pretty lofty goal, and I like it. I like it. We got a little train station here, a little train yard. Alright, so, the south side, he's going to build a ghetto. We all know about the south side of Chicago, and that should be fun to build. One of my favorite things to build is ghettos. I don't know why I love building ghettos so much. I just like to destroy things, and I like to destroy, I like the dirtiness. I don't know why. That's just my thing. In Beanburg, I had a very dirty ghetto, and then in Covington, it got even dirtier. So, if I were to build another ghetto, I'm sure it would be very disgusting. Alright, so like I said, not too many interiors at all. It doesn't have any interiors, and that's a choice he made, and I respect that. Not everyone likes to do interiors, but there's nothing like a good interior to really make your builds pop. And I think that with your help, because he does need your help, guys. He's not very good at interiors. He needs help. So if you're watching this and you feel like you could show him a thing or two about interior work, then, hit him up on Twitter. I'll post his Twitter links in the description. Yeah, he doesn't have a YouTube channel, but, you can follow him on Twitter and get into contact with him that way. His gamer tag is ReaperEBK, so, join his party if you ever see him online. And just tell him that you're interested in helping out on this beautiful city. It's very large. It's the thing that strikes me. Very large, and... in a year to do all of this, that's pretty impressive. He said it takes him about a day to do each of these skyscrapers. And I can see that. Alright, so let's get into some criticisms. Not really criticisms, constructive criticisms. Because that's what being around the world is about, guys. It's about, making builders better. I'm not saying I'm the best builder, but I can bring a unique perspective to all these builders that they probably haven't seen before, and so can you, by leaving comments for these builders on what they can improve on, what you like. Not all criticism is constructive. Wait, no. Not all criticism is bad. Criticism is saying what you do like. So remember that. Say what you like, say what you don't like, say what you would change or add or subtract, and, he can take what he wants and he can leave the rest, and it makes us all better. It makes you better by thinking about how he can improve. Think about that. By thinking about how Reaper EBK can improve, it makes you analyze yourself and become better. right? So if you're interested in being a better builder, leave some criticism for other builders. Not only will you see their ideas and get inspired by them, but you also think about what they're lacking and how you can infuse your creativity into another creative build. It's a very beneficial process for all of us involved. So the first thing I'm going to say about the skyscraper exteriors, Reaper EBK, is that they're a little plain. They're actually pretty plain in my opinion. You know, a lot of these are just flat walls. You do use a lot of variation in your color, which I like, but I would like to see a lot more depth and texture. And what I mean by that is, you know, instead of a wall being flat, make your walls 3, 4, 5 thick. Yes, 3, 4, or 5 thick, and that way you can really add depth. Use a lot of a lot of slabs and stairs. You know, cobblestone walls. I know that it's not his intention to build a highly detailed city. You can tell, like, there's a lot of room for detail. But if you're going to build a city that's nothing but exterior buildings, I think you really need to go to town on the building details. Like, this one is a little bit better. Look, he's got some stairs and slabs here, and this building really stands out from the rest of the buildings because you can tell he spent a little bit more time on it, right? You can tell because it's got more texture, it's got more TLC. You know, it's tempting to build large and build big, and you know, a lot of people will see this city and say, "Oh my goodness, it's amazing, it's huge." You know, they'll give it so many props. But then when you get up closer, it's not that detailed, and you can tell that, you know, it does take one day to make these skyscrapers. You know, for me to make a skyscraper, it takes a couple months. So that's the difference right there. Bigger is not always better. If you're trying to get noticed, guys, you need a good mixture of size and detail. Trust me, size and detail is what really sets your builds apart from all the other builds out there. Because anyone can copy skyscrapers, you know, and be done with it. But you know, it's like this. I like this a lot more. This building is sick. It's got a lot more depth and texture to it. This is like a 3 thick skyscraper, you know, and I think more of that is essential. This one's pretty cool too. It's got some character on top, but like the walls are just kind of flat and mostly boxy. So here's the Sears Tower, or the Willis Tower as it's called now. He ran into some height limit problems. I didn't recognize it because it's so tall in real life that he's at sky cap right now. And you know, this is the tallest building in this country? Is that right? Isn't the Sears Tower? Something might have passed it. I'm not quite sure. But I think the Willis Tower is still the tallest. I could be wrong. You know, check on Google and correct me, guys. Okay? I don't have Google in front of me right now. Okay? Alright, so we're going to tour around a little bit more. As far as details in the streets, I thought there was a lot more room for street detail. In the party, I you know, mentioned perhaps some hot dog stands, because it's Chicago after all. You're gonna need some hot dog stands, maybe some newspaper racks, maybe some places where the homeless sleep. I think, you know, it might not be his style. Maybe his style is more just exteriors of skyscrapers. But I think, Reaper, you could really stand to use more detail on your streets, because that's going to really set things off. Traffic signals was a big one. He doesn't have any traffic signals, which I found a little bit perplexing, why you wouldn't want the traffic signals. He does have the lamps there, which is good. And he's running into the same problem as me, guys. The glowstone causing lag. Oh, man. Poor guy. I know that game. You know, he's used a lot of glowstone inside of his skyscrapers, and a lot of his streetlights are glowstone, so we experience a lot of lag in this world. I'm not saying it was because of the glowstone, but I'm saying it's because of the glowstone, 4J, and your silly animations. Ah, man. So yeah, the streets, they need a little bit more detail, I feel. He said he's not planning on building any cars on the streets, and I think, I don't know how I feel about that. Yes, I respect that decision. He likes the clean approach. But at the same time, why go through all the trouble of making these beautiful roads? His roads are fantastic. You're going to see some real organic road building. And we'll get more to that in a moment. But yes, these roads are spectacular. And he does a really good job of making curves. I don't know how he does it so well. I wish I had his curve talent, okay? But yes, I feel like there's more trains needed, more cars needed. And it makes your city feel like it's alive. You know, this city feels kind of like it's dead. Not dead in the sense that no one actually lives here. You know what I mean? And maybe that's what he's going for. I don't mean to criticize you for that. I don't want to take you away from your vision, EBK. But I feel like this city needs some life to it. And like I was saying, some hot dog stands go a long ways. Like this. I like this a lot. This train depot here. We got a train. So this train implies immediately that there's people that need to get to their jobs. And that's something that I think this map could benefit from. More transportation. He said that living in Chicago, two of his favorite things about the city was its public transportation and the friendliness of its people. I've never been to Chicago, but I have absolutely no desire to go there. I'm sorry. Please, I'm sorry. I don't ever want to go to Chicago. And it's for one reason. And one reason only. It's the only reason, guys. You know, it looks like a beautiful city. It looks like the people are very friendly. Everyone said that. But the reason why I will never go to Chicago is because I hate wind more than I hate anything in this world. I hate to use the word hate, okay? It's not that I hate wind, but wind drives me absolutely insane. If there's 10-mile-an-hour winds, I won't go outside. Period. There's 10-mile-an-hour winds, I don't go outside. It's one of the worst. It's just a constant nagging, pushing force that's trying to take you somewhere you don't want to go. It's, sports are impossible. Riding bikes are impossible. Doing anything productive outside is impossible. Now, you go to the city like this where it's windy all day and it's like 45, 50-mile-an-hour winds, and I would shoot myself in the head. I would shoot myself in the head in the first week. I would go down to the south side and walk around with a sign on my chest saying, shoot me. Okay, that's what I would do to try to end the misery. So, they call it the Windy City, and that's why I'm never going to go there. Okay, I'd rather be on the side of a volcano while it's erupting during an earthquake, while hail is raining down on my head, golf ball size hail, while lightning's striking all around me before I stand in 20-mile-an-hour winds for 10 minutes, okay? That's how much I dislike wind, okay? So, Chicago's out. No Chicago. Alright, Xbox Live was having a lot of issues today. A lot of issues. At what point do we get a refund of some kind? At what point do we get something for free, Xbox, for all these problems that we constantly have to endure? Oh, man. I don't know what this factory is about. Maybe some sort of prototype. I'm not really sure. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go try to look at some of these roads. I want to show you the roads. He's got an interchange that's just marvelous. It's marvelous. And it's at this point where I start running into some serious lag problems. Now, this is a super flat world. Okay? A super flat world. And we're in a chunk that has just a road. And you're about to see how slow... I had to turn around and go backwards. You're about to see how slow this is about to load. What is going on? There's no glowstone in this chunk, so I don't even know what the cause is. But it got really frustrating at this point. I really wanted to show you these roads, guys. And I tried my best, Reaper. I really did. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Look at this interchange. Oh, it's so complicated. Oh, man. It makes me really sad that he's not going to have cars on here. You know what? If any of you can go into his party, show him a few car designs, and convince him to do cars in this world, I think it would really help him out. He needs that push. He needs someone to say, hey, this is what your city's going to look like with cars. Look at this. It reminds me of Los Angeles a little bit, but even more complicated. Look at his road. Oh, so good. These roads are beautiful. I think the best part of the map definitely are the roads, in my opinion. And, I don't think you should change a thing. Maybe some more detail, like billboards, would be fantastic. Because that's people use this opportunity to advertise. You have 1 million people a day driving past your billboard. People pay top dollar for those things. So have some billboards. I think that would help bring life to your city. Maybe some freeway signs, those green signs that say, the exit signs and, 2.5 miles to Juliet and stuff like that. I think that would add more life to your city. You need more life in this city. This city feels empty and kind of dead. So I think the small details are going to go a long way, especially with these gorgeous roads. Oh, see, he's got a little sign there. He's got one sign. I saw it. So more of that, definitely more of that. I think what I'm going to do now is, I was going the wrong way, so I'm going to turn around and go the opposite direction. Yeah, I'm going the wrong way. Dang it! I hate these maps when, I wish that you could have one larger map that showed everything, so that you didn't always have to have all these different maps. I think that would be cool in the future. I know it's not even in PC, so I'm going to say Mojang, not 4J. Mojang, what about like a zoomed out map? I would love that. I wish you could change the zoom on your maps. How about that? You always have one map, but you change the zoom on it. How about that? Wouldn't that be cool? I got a whole bunch of ideas, guys. I should be tweeting this out to Mojang, right? Shouldn't I? Alright, so we're going to do our best here. This is when the lag comes. We're in a super flat world with nothing but a road in it, and look at the speed at which we're loading here. Maybe I'm spoiled, I don't know. But it shouldn't take this long to load anything. Anything, right? This is ridiculous. But we're going to give it a good old-fashioned college try, because he spent a lot of times on these... A lot of times? Yeah, he spent a lot of time on this road and these roads, and, you know, he's got to show it off. I asked him what are some of his influences. He said Corrales really inspired him to get Minecraft. He saw a lot of Corrales builds and was like, oh man, this is the game for me. And I can understand that. Everybody says Corrales. I would love to see Corrales build something on the Xbox. That's what I would like to see. Let's see how good it looks without a texture pack and without shaders. Let's see then. Okay? And does he build cities? I think he just builds houses from what I've seen. I'm not a big Corrales fan, so I don't know exactly what he does. But from what I've seen, he just builds houses. So I would love to see him build cities like this. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. More of that. More of that. And that brings your city to life. That means people live here. You know, I know he wants to have the clean look, but I think the dirty look is way cleaner. Way cleaner. The dirty look is way cleaner. Quote me on that. Alright, guys? You can quote me on that. So some other influences of his is Dan Lags, Safety Boost. I know those two. He said Lord Dakar and Jag Thunder. I don't know who the last two are. Maybe I'll look them up after this, because, you know, he seems to appreciate them, and if they have helped inspire this build, then they can't be that bad, because this build is crazy, guys. Crazy. So my overall thoughts on this build are, it's very large, but larger isn't always better. Larger will help you get noticed, but in the long run, more people will take notice of your build if it's detailed and large. So I think a lot more consideration needs to go to smaller details on this map, because, guys, take it from me, it is the small details that people notice. Not the big, you could build the biggest skyscraper you've ever seen, but if it's not detailed, people are just going to say, hey, that's cool. But if it's a large skyscraper with a high level of details, they will say, oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Right? Isn't that the reaction you want from people? So I know you spent a year on this, Reaper EBK, and you want to fill out the whole 25 size map. That's a lofty goal, like I said. That's a huge aspirations. But I think that it would be better served if you spent more time on this part of the city, making it more detailed, and then moving on. And, you know, not putting a time frame on any of this, because if you start putting time goals on this, you know, that's when you really get stressed out. And if you get stressed out, that's when your buildings suffer. And that's when you start saying, I'm done with this project, you know. So I encourage, this is advice for all of you guys. Put a lot of effort into your worlds. Don't worry about the time frame. It will get done when it's supposed to be done. Put all the love and TLC, that's tender loving care for those who don't know. Put all the love and TLC you can into your map, and people will notice that. I'm not trying to discourage it. You know, I'm the guy who refuses to build anything without an interior, and that's just me. So that's the position I'm coming from. That's why I say, you know, take time for these interiors, make this city pop, and then move on. You know, if you keep doing what you're doing, people will love it. People will take notice, they'll love it, but it won't have that wow factor that people are looking for. So I would say, you know, start on one skyscraper and just do an interior and learn from it. And do your best on one before you build anything else. I think you should stop everything right now and build an interior and see how it goes. See how much work and effort you have to put into it, and, you know, see if that's something you are willing to do, and see how people respond to it. Because, you know, if you have a lot of love in your interiors, then, like I said, guys, people will respond well. Alright, so what we're trying to do now is trying to find Reaper EBK so that I can say goodbye, because we've seen most of the city. ran into a lot of loading problems. What's going on here? I don't know what's going on here. Oh, I like this one. Look at the see. There's more texture on that one. There's more depth. More of that. So remember, your walls should be a little bit thicker. If you're not going to do interiors, there's no reason not to have thicker exterior walls so you can put more detail into them. Use a lot more stairs and slabs. That is my advice to you. More stairs, more slab. More stair, more stab. Wait, what? More stairs, more slabs is my advice to you, Reaper EBK, because they bring out the detail, they bring out the texture, they bring out the loveliness. Alright, so we're gonna head to the park and we're gonna say goodbye to Reaper EBK. Remember, guys, if you want to help him, he needs interior work, follow him on Twitter, say hello, and say, I'd love to help you. And if you're a good builder, he'll let you have privileges and let you build alongside of him. Alright, where am I going? I overshot the mark. It's very hard to see when you don't have gamer tags on. Where is he? He's around here somewhere. I want to say bye to Reaper EBK. Where is he? Whoop. Aha, there he blows. Alright, I love that skin. Oh man, look at this screenshot right here. That's going to be the thumbnail faux show. That's the thumbnail right there. Alright, thank you to Reaper EBK for allowing us to come in here and give you criticism. I really appreciate it. Thank you for building your creative city. It's very cool, very unique. Thank you for being you. Thank you guys for liking, sharing, subscribing, and leaving comments for Reaper EBK. Thank you for watching. Happy Minecrafting. Peace.